Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of 10 Minute Marvel. Yes, we are a day late, but that's because of the holiday weekend, and we mainly blame the co-host. Uh, but
Yeah,
today we're going to be talking about the final three episodes of Ironheart, and
it's like you're talking about me in third person, and I'm right here. Like
mhm,
I had stuff going on.
yeah, plus just a little bit of news and rumors, sort of stuff, and yeah, we're gonna be diving into all of that. So, the person who wasn't busy making a deal with a certain friendly neighborhood devil, I'm your host of the podcast, Petter, and co-hosting as always.
Oh, the devil in the details, everybody.
Yep.
It it's Greg. I'm back, and I got your soul, Petter. I got
Uh,
it, and
Thanks. I
it's
had
in the form of a
misplaced.
pizza, and I ate it all.
I had lost it. I guess cool if you like anchovies on your pizza.
Well, not my favorite, but that's
Yeah,
why I just
it's
gave it the
fair.
worst possible outcome.
Yes.
Uh, all right. Well, thanks everybody for coming back and listening, supporting us in whatever way you did or can and it could. If you're looking for ways to support us, you can find us on our YouTube channel. Search 10 Minute Marvel. Give us a like and thumb smash that subscribe button. We appreciate that so very, very much. And find us and follow us on Facebook and that other thing with an X at hashtag 10minmarvel. And of course, you can leave a rating and review wherever you get your friendly neighborhood devilish podcast from.
Yes.
Petter, you devilish man with the snap-on beard. What are we
Yeah.
doing first?
We have one rumor to talk about, and this one might have already crossed our desk, but it popped up again as a rumor that we're going to get a Miles Morales in Spider-Man Brand New Day. Oh, yes, it is. Do you
Okay,
think that's
I
going to
missed
happen?
this. Where did this rumor come from?
I so it was one of the aggregators who shared it, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, there's absolutely no rumors." So I was searching around for some.
The bottom of the barrel?
Yeah, uh, yeah, I'm not sure. A small screen is the YouTube, or not YouTube, but the Facebook page that I pulled it off of, and they generally are kind of just an aggregator of scoopers.
Mm,
So don't know precisely which scooper had that one.
I'll buy into it. I think that it is something Sony should not do just yet. I think I think it should happen in Marvel's hands, fully in Marvel's hands.
Yes.
But then again,
Yeah.
if you can get people that can do Into the Spider-Verse, as we've always, I think we have been saying quite a bit of this, then okay.
Yeah. And it is a joint Marvel or Disney Marvel and Sony project. I suspect that Sony wants to put this character in to kind of do the launch of that character and then do Peter Parker for Disney Marvel and Sony Spider-Man stuff will be Miles Morales focused. But I think they
Ish.
want, yeah, it to have
That's
a
icky,
tie-in.
Petter. That's
Oh yeah,
icky.
it is.
I don't know how to put
I
that any differently.
I also don't. It's one of those things where I think if they do that, it will burn some bridges with Disney, Marvel. So who knows? How much does Sony care?
Just trying to take it all down. Just trying to.
Yeah.
Mm.
If you can't have this, if I can't have good superhero movies, no one can have good superhero movies.
That's
Next, they're
the
gonna come after.
internal.
Mhm.
Oh, that's the internal Sony motto right there.
Yeah. It's also been, this wasn't on my news list, but I'll mention it. Sony has apparently, well, actually, not apparently, they just don't have any new spider adjacent projects besides the final Spider-Verse film in in the works at this point in time.
Hmm.
So I
Probably
think
need
that
money. They probably need that cash roll from what will be Brand New Day.
yes. Yes. So Fantastic Four released a new clip. Did you watch it, Greg?
The kind of extended family dinner
Dinner
scene.
scene. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
We it was slightly different, I think, than what we had seen one time before.
yeah, it because it doesn't cut right to the "Are you pregnant?" thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of draws that out a little. I think it also the Johnny and
Thing.
Ben,
Yeah.
yeah, kind of it was a little bit longer. So, but it
Yep.
was kind of cool to see a little bit of that more of the interaction, right? And
Hmm.
just, again, Reed dissociated a little bit. Sue is obviously kind of engaged, and she seemed kind of excited, and I don't know, it was
Yeah.
interesting, but nothing
Yeah.
crazy.
Hmm. Speaking of Fantastic Four's first steps, you now have the day to know when to turn off the internet for at least a couple days. Uh,
The whole
Ju
internet,
the whole internet. July 22nd is
perfect.
when the review embargo lifts for Fantastic Four First Steps. So after I think, noon Eastern time, after that, tread lightly.
All right, well, I'll be incommunicado at that point, so
Yep. I will be sending you screen grabs of every single leak I can find.
I will hate you forever if you do that. Do not ruin this for me.
I will not do that. Don't worry. In some sad news, also Fantastic Four related, though not this Fantastic Four, Julian McMahon, who played Doctor Doom in the Jessica Elba, Ian Gruffudd, Fantastic Four films, passed away at the age of 56.
Yep, I believe it was cancer of some nature.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, that's too bad. He was also in Nip Tuck. He was one of the main characters there, which I didn't watch. But for anybody else listening,
Like, what
I'm
else has
assuming
he
if you're
been in?
listening to this podcast, you would know him more from the Fantastic Four movie than you would from Nip Tuck. But hey, we may have a diverse crowd. I don't know.
That'd
Nip
be
Tuck
pretty
fans.
impressive audience crossover.
We got 1% of our audience is more into Nip Tuck, is what my guess is, than this Marvel podcast stuff.
Yep.
Woo! All right.
Uh, Keeping it on, it's not really, it's not nearly as downer news, but Michael Douglas has retired from acting.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yep, that one popped up, I believe it was today or yesterday. So Hank Pym, actor, has retired. That's, I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's fine.
yep, I won't. He was fun as Hank Pym, I think, especially like in the first Ant-Man, but was, yeah, a fine character.
Yeah, good for him.
Hmm.
Retiring.
Yes, a lot of actors don't.
I don't even know what the last thing he has been. What is the last thing he was in?
Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I have no idea.
Literally? Oh, last movie for.
The last movie he
Oh my
was
God.
in,
It was
it
Ant-Man and
is,
the Wasp.
it
Quantumania.
was. He did do voice work in What If, potentially after that, and he was in 8 episodes of a TV miniseries, Franklin, in 2024. And he does have two upcoming releases, one of which is a film, so that will technically be his last one.
Huh. Well, there you have it.
Yes, the
Go,
important details of
go,
this
yeah,
for Marvel.
going out with a bang
Hmm.
with a bunch of ants.
Yeah. Then, did you see the Eyes of Wakanda teaser?
I did.
Very short.
Yeah.
Whole series.
It's animation wise, it wasn't kind of what I was expecting.
Oh, that
Which I know
based
you
off
kind of
of,
mentioned. I think you
yeah,
talked about this in your videos, but
yeah. I like the animation style. I think it has almost a painting type quality to it. But it's definitely like it is not going for a realistic or traditional kind of animation style look to it. So I think that's interesting choice. They definitely went very stylized with it.
yeah, it just I don't know. It seemed like like I'm watching like The Emperor's New Groove, like for the Disney cartoon. Like it's just the head proportion, but I
Yes.
don't know. It's kind of
Yep.
it's weird. I've never actually seen that movie. I've just seen part of it, and that's what my brain first went to, oddly enough. So
Yeah. I thought the teaser looked solid. It just didn't show much of anything.
yeah,
And also, the whole series, I believe, is dropping on August 27th.
it honestly didn't really make me too excited.
I'm, yeah, a little more neutral on it after like how good your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man was.
Right.
It's like, well, now we need animation to be a little bit like I need to know the story of this now
Yeah.
because the animation style I like, so I'm going to enjoy it for that. But for 30-minute episodes, what's kind of how are the vignettes going to work?
Mm. I believe this one was ranked as kind of one I was super looking forward to,
Yep.
and
It
it's
was your
slipping.
top one.
Was it? I'm glad you remember.
Yep. It was both of our top ones. We actually had them in the exact same order.
Oh, God, like a
Yeah.
steel trap, that brain of yours.
hmm That's what I think too. Uh, the final one is just more of a quote or interview that Regan Aaliyah, who plays Zelma in Ironheart,
Yeah.
she was talking about how she really hopes that they can kind of revive or that a Strange Academy can still happen. And we'll maybe talk a little bit about how Ironheart potentially could have set that up in this episode, but I have always been on board with Strange Academy having a TV show. Even before there were rumors of it, this is where my steel trap mind comes in again, baby. It was comic runs. We were talking about comic books that we wanted to have Disney Plus shows of,
hmm
and Strange Academy was one of my top ones.
Now, do you want it to be that kind of kid? It was more of a kid comic book. What's a right? It
It,
wasn't.
no,
It
I wouldn't
wasn't
say it
like
is.
no, really? I thought
I
it
mean,
had more of
it's
that teen vibe to it.
it has yeah, teen vibe. I wouldn't say kid vibe.
No, sorry.
Yeah,
I'm I'm over 40. Everybody's a
yeah,
kid. So
yeah. Yeah. I'm exactly at 40. So my brain tells me I'm 32. So I'm sticking with that number.
oh yeah. Yeah, I understand that. It goes away after a while, slowly.
But I would love them to do a show like that. And she even says, like, yeah, this would be great for people who liked Harry Potter and maybe don't like Harry Potter as much anymore because of J.K. Rowling. That it would be like, this is another kids at school sort of story and show. So I personally hope it does come back. I don't think it will if they're going to do a Champions show. If they do a Champions movie or something like that, then yeah. But I don't think they're going to do two kind of teen, young adult focus shows.
Will we I would like to see her again. I
Mm-hmm.
thought that her character was actually pretty fun to watch. Um and she seemed
100%.
very natural. Like it just
Mm-hmm.
she just grabbed the character and just was that was her. Like it was
Yes.
that I don't know. I can't explain it any other way than that. But the I'm wondering if they will add her into Strange, Doctor Strange 3.
Maybe.
I mean, it doesn't really fit though. So I don't know. I think the character was well received enough where you're probably going to see her again.
Mm-hmm.
So Strange Academy does make a lot of sense. Or Champions, maybe it's one of
Yeah.
those characters that
Like, is
Wiccan
this
kind of comes across or something like that.
right?
Or
Could be
yeah,
a side character who,
yep.
when they need specific, like Wiccan's magical powers are so kind of chaotic,
hmm
um, kind of that natural power like Wanda has, that
It's
when you need somebody to do like the science magic sort of stuff, you go to Zelma.
Is it, or maybe it's like they all hang out at the potion store that she runs, and it's kind
hmm
of like in Saved by the Bell when they'd all just go to the place, that restaurant, and hang out. I don't know.
Yes.
God, that's a terrible, terrible thought. Okay, sorry about that, everybody. It was funny in my brain, but
That's fair. I
most
feel
things
like there are
are.
a lot of things are. Yeah.
Yeah. God, I beat you to it. I
Yes, you
beat you to it
did.
on that one.
That's it for the news. So we're going to be talking Ironheart here. First, we're going to do a quick non-spoiler thoughts on the show and final three episodes. I think it's kind of hard to just be like, here's the non-spoiler thoughts on the final three episodes without really being like, hey, here's the non-spoiler thoughts on the show.
Yeah, I think we're in spoilers, but I'll give my overall first.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to
Yes.
go first, you can, but we'll start there.
Yeah, I'll kick it off for us this time. I really enjoyed the show. I'm I want to watch the final episode again just to see how I feel like they landed everything. And there's kind of the one of the very end scenes that I want to determine what I fully think happens in that scene. Obviously, we'll talk about these things in spoiler detail. Um, but I thought they did a really good job with it. They did a good job, like with the concerns that we had going into the final three episodes of are they going to rush some of the stuff? It didn't feel like they did. And I appreciated that for it. And I'm excited to see Riri show up in more things because Dominic Thorne does such a good job with that character that I want to see, like Zelma, I want to see her show up in more.
Yeah. I think this is a very pleasant surprise for me overall.
Hmm.
I kind of agree with you. I need to like as I was telling you before we started this, that before we started recording, I wanted to rewatch the last three again before we did this, but I only got to the fourth and fifth episode. And to me, I just want to watch that sixth one more time just to see again how I did it stick the landing fully.
Hmm.
I think just right now, I I think it did
Hmm.
in an interesting way, an
Yep.
unexpected way. But I think no matter what, even though I have some kind of qualms about it, I still think it was a really fun show. I thought it was good,
Hmm.
and I like kind of the direction it took, oddly enough. So
Yeah. So before we hit spoilers, just for people who are dropping off potentially at this point with spoilers, which of the two live action shows have you liked better this year? Born Again or Ironheart?
they're
I
kind of
mean,
different, but I
they're
mean,
kind of different, but the fact that you're thinking about it should tell people that if you haven't watched Ironheart, they're close. That's 100% worth checking out.
yes.
I think I had more fun watching Ironheart, and that's the reason I would give it just the slightest nod over Daredevil Born Again.
It's kind of recency bias happening here for me, maybe too, but um. Yeah, it's just two different things, maybe.
They are very different, kind of at times very different
Yeah,
tonally, but and obviously the difference in the ratings too.
yeah. And I mean, oddly enough, I mean, Ironheart felt pretty tight knit, right? It felt like
Hmm.
a solid chunk is a show, like front to
Yes.
back, right? So, whereas Daredevil felt we had kind of said a little bit disjointed at times, still good, but you could see where the seams were at.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I don't know. I might you might have to ask me again after like a couple weeks because
Hmm. Oh
it's hard
yeah.
to say. I just have too much
And
recency bias. So
hmm and obviously, but at the end of the year, we'll do our normal what show do we like best or kind of rank the nine projects that we got
yeah.
this year. So we're obviously going to come back and kind of circle back on this.
Hmm.
But let's move into spoilers. Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. You have been warned. Spoilers.
Whoop 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 whoop. That was my sound effect for you.
Nice. You had
Yeah.
one this time.
I had one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought of something new.
Hmm. So, where do we want to start with this? Do we want
Let's
do we want to start at the end with the character who we knew was coming? Or
um
do we want to work up to that and save that to the very end?
yeah, let's talk. Let's just go right into it. Let's talk about the man himself.
Hmm. The M to the E to the, yeah, you get
Fisto.
the rest of it.
The M to the E to the Fisto.
Yeah.
Um
Mephisto is here, played by Sacha Baron Cohen, which
okay.
was the rumor.
Yep. How did you feel about his performance?
I liked it. I thought
Oh, just liked.
mhm. I I'm trying to decide if I loved it or just liked it. I think that he nailed a very good version of that character. We've also really only seen him in one setting. Uh
Hmm.
like the interactions between him and Parker Robbins and the interaction between him and Riri were very much the same setting, kind of the same sort of feel. I want to see him tempt someone else in the future in like a different form completely, and then have that reveal, or to see him go after somebody in maybe a little bit of a different way.
Hmm. Yeah, I can agree. I'll agree with that. Like it would be fun. It's gonna be fun to see him. and I'm
Hmm.
hoping this happens. I don't know where or how it's going to happen yet, obviously, but see him in a different setting, get him out of that Desperitos pizza shop, right? And
Hmm.
have him um, really get, I don't know, get in the mix of it all.
Yes.
So I don't, but I do not doubt that he will do a really good job because I
Oh
really
yeah.
like I am really impressed, just I think in general by Sacha Baron Cohen and his acting abilities.
Hmm.
I mean,
He's one of those people who you're like, well, he's a comedy actor, but comedy acting is some of the hardest acting to do.
mhm.
So when some comedy actors can't transition over to serious roles, but when yeah, comedy actors have to play something more serious, oftentimes it's really like surprisingly strong.
Yeah. And his performance, I don't know, it was it's just it's gripping. It's
Hmm.
intriguing. I loved
His
his change in his
accent,
accents, which at
yeah,
first I'm like, why is he doing it? But I think that's also really cool. Is it a reference to something comic book wise? I don't
not that I know of. I think it's I think it's more just that he can be kind of whoever he needs to be.
yeah.
Like he's the most charming used car salesman ever. It's like the
Yeah.
performance he's giving.
Right. And man, he's intimidating though. Like,
Hmm.
I don't know. So I thought it was really cool what they did. I'm shocked. Well, I'll leave we'll talk maybe about the ending and the choice
Hmm.
that Riri makes later. But
Well, and that's the thing is that's the scene that I really want to rewatch. So, because I'm like, does she make the choice?
well, I think she has to. I don't know how else you get Natalie to come alive again.
Right. But does Natalie actually come alive again? Or is that kind of just the temptation that Mephisto is offering? Because it's intercut with the scene.
I mean, she had the thing growing on her arm. Unless I'm gonna be very mad if it's like a dream sequence or something stupid
Mhm.
like that. That'd be terrible. That'd be terrible idea. Um, I
But I
sound
also,
like what is it, Leghorn, Foghorn there? It'd be t terrible, terrible idea. Sorry, I'm full
yeah.
of good references tonight. I'm only 90 years old. Um,
Mhm.
I,
I don't
I
think
think
it
it's
would be a terrible idea though, because I think it would feel a little bit too much like Wanda in some ways of Aui's kind of trying to shortcut things. And so I like it feels like she learns her lesson that she needs more people around her and she needs like the friends and kind of the family that she has and she has to rely on them. So to then shortcut because she lost Natalie, the AI, to get real Natalie back. Now, obviously, that's a fairly big thing to get real Natalie back, but that just feels a little cheap.
right. I mean, I kind of agree. Like, but there's there's not an Ironheart season two.
Right.
They're not gonna pick up the story, I wouldn't think, from that point on. So it seems like that is the reality of it. Now, how does she get rid of that deal that she made? Because
Hmm.
it's growing on her arm, like the whole thing that happened to the hood, and so, but it does cheat the other part of it too. I don't know. I like that Natalie's sticking around. I like that she's come back, but at the same time, or maybe that's the thing. I don't know. But where do you carry the story on from there? Like, where does
Hmm.
it pick up? I don't know. That's what I don't quite understand
Well,
why they did that.
and I feel like,
But I like it. I like that she supposedly decided to do it. It's interesting because you
mhm,
don't expect her to do it, and I'm
yeah.
glad they did it. So I go back and forth on them.
Right. And part of me is just like, I think it'd be interesting to have her say no to Mephisto because how many other characters would? And to her basically, I would have loved if they had refilmed just a tiny bit of that scene. And at the end, like after kind of her visions of that, she goes, no, like it's not worth it. What happened, happened, and I won't be the person I am today without what has happened. So, no, I can get
I
back
want to
what I
read the whole
lost.
thing like you did.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, but that's why that's the part that I need to. like really rewatch to see if it gives me what level of confidence I have that it happened or
Yeah.
that it didn't.
I know you and I are looking for the same thing. Like I need to rewatch that scene since maybe I missed something. But I I just I don't know how you get a real life huggable Natalie unless it's a dream sequence. And
Right.
I just
Well,
think that that sucks, but I don't know.
yeah, it might suck, but I also kind of look at it and go, if that's the idea of like she's being tempted by this, because I forget, because it cuts back after the real life Natalie to her and Mephisto, correct? It doesn't, and again, this is where we both have to go back and watch that final scene, because I don't think it just ends on those
N-
two.
I no, it what it does is like you don't see whether she shakes the hand.
Hmm.
It looks like she's going for it, but you never see it. And then it's her in the garage, and all of a sudden Natalie just appears, and then she can hug Natalie. And then after that scene, I think it's just she gives her a hug, but you can see the things on her arm growing.
Okay.
And then there's the post-credit scene.
Right, but the vision with Natalie was split into, or the scene with Natalie was split into multiple parts.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember how that was
Yeah,
chopped up exactly.
so I don't remember if they popped back to her and Mephisto in the restaurant, leaving it in the air.
I don't think they
So
did.
I don't think they did.
I think it's that it just that's what happened. Like I
Hmm.
think there's no going back and then yeah, I think that Natalie's alive. I think the only way to get out of that deal is that if she gives up Natalie,
Hmm.
which cool, but where does that pick up? So
Yes.
that's my question. If they had a season two of Ironheart, awesome. I'm all in.
Hmm.
Um
Oh yeah, for sure.
I would definitely need some more Anthony Ramos.
Yes.
Which kind of that post credit scene. What is happening with that? I was a little bit confused as to he's is he still kind of on hunt for Riri, I'm guessing, and or
No,
he was
he's
looking
trying
for
to
more
get,
magic. Oh, he's probably trying to get his magic back or
yeah,
his
he's trying to get his powers back. Yeah. And
huh.
so he knows kind of what he's looking for, but
What happened to the hood?
uh Riri took it.
Okay. Oh yeah. So maybe it's back maybe the hood goes to Camertage. Then you got
Mhm.
Strange Academy. Hood goes after it. Kids have to defend from the hood.
Right. And Strange Academy, like the it would be that the hood goes to like Brother Voodoo or somebody like that who's in charge of Strange Academy because Strange Academy is set in Louisiana.
Okay. What was her name again? What's the
Zelma?
uh Thelma or Zelma?
Zelma.
Zelma.
Z. Yep.
Is she good or is she bad? Is she on
I
the
th
fence?
I think she's good right now. She's just
Does she want to dabble in the black magic? She's a little bit, kind of
she's
runs on her
chaotic.
own. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think she wants to dabble in the black magic for the sake of dabbling in the black magic. She even pushes back against the idea when she thinks it's Dormammu of
Hmm.
like, no, like you don't want to borrow power from this guy. This is like all these bad things happen, but I think she's also a teenager,
Yeah.
kind of. And so she's a teenager, of course, is going to be like, okay, you say it's bad magic, but how bad is it really?
That's
I
very
can
true.
probably handle it.
Yeah. It's just that concept of, yeah, I got it. I'm
Hmm.
so I got a
Yeah.
teenager. I understand that. Not that
Also,
has magic powers, but
right. I did go back and while you were talking, I watched
oh,
the end scene
oh,
again.
you did? Okay.
Yeah, since I have very fast skills of pulling that
I
stuff up.
guess.
And
Jesus.
so, yeah, it is. So there's the scene where Natalie appears, and Natalie kind of comes walking into the shop just out of nowhere,
Hmm.
and Riri hugs her, or and gets like, or Natalie pushes her. I forget what it is, but then
Yeah.
Natalie pushes her is what it is, and then there's the you really should make the deal. And you can see Riri kind of doing that
Starting to put the
lean,
hand forward.
yeah, that lean of
Oh,
I'm a kid. I'm smarter than you. I can get out of this.
I was expecting
Like,
her just to grab a piece of pizza. That's that
mhm.
Chicago style pizza, but yeah, I think yeah, that's the thing. You don't actually see it, but you see her kind of lean like she's gonna pull up her arm and hand and extend
Yeah,
it out.
yes.
So
Yeah. And
I
then
don't know,
it
man.
cuts back to them. They hug in the
In the
shop.
garage.
Yep.
Yep.
In the garage. And then end credits.
And you see the arm. You see those branching out of
Hmm.
the demonic tattoo. I don't know what you want to call it.
Yeah. The
What is up with that?
corruption.
Yeah.
Corruption of the soul.
I wonder what happened, like what if it just kept going? Like what I do want to say, that reminded me of Anthony Ramos, the Hood's character, when he goes demonic.
Hmm.
That was pretty awesome.
Yes.
That was a nice, devilish, demon-like contortion of the face. I don't know. I thought it was
Hmm.
good. I liked it. I
Yeah.
was kind of happy that they took it there too. Like,
Yes.
and the spoon. I thought the spoon was a really fun touch when you get to see Mephisto in his red, it's more that comic
Yeah.
book look style look to it. So, did
Yeah.
you see that first time through?
No.
I did. I was trying to get a screenshot to send to you, but I didn't know if you had seen it yet either, so I didn't want
There
to.
were plenty of screenshots online with
Yeah,
like
I know, but
very little time.
I watched it like the day it came out. I don't think you were able to, so I held
No.
off.
Yeah.
But so that
Well,
was
no,
cool.
I watched it. I was done with it before you were. And
Oh, that's right.
Mephisto only shows up in the last episode,
Yeah, that's
so
right.
yeah.
That's right. I'm thinking of,
You watched the most of the first or episode 5 or no, 4 before I did.
yeah, I started before you, but you finished before I did.
Yes.
So,
Now that you know our personal story there, let's go back in time to
uh-huh.
those previous episodes. And like kind of what were some highlights, questions, things that stood out to you, things that worked, didn't. Maybe start with Ezekiel Stain.
Yeah, I I still like the performance. I just thought that it was such a it's kind of a complicated character that he's portraying. It was fine. I
Hmm.
I didn't love what they did for him, I guess. It's a
I thought,
setup, right?
yeah,
But I think the tech part is just I don't know. Like they just stuffed a bunch of like tech in him and he healed.
yeah.
Like that's I don't I just I didn't like that part. Like it just seemed like he would have to recover for a good year, I feel like,
Hmm.
before that. So
Yeah. Now, obviously, the technology in the MCU is different with
yeah.
what we've seen from Iron Man, the nanotech, and just the technology that we saw, or like the healing sort of stuff in Iron Man 3 with Aldrich Killian and AIM.
Mm.
So that sort of stuff does exist-ish to bounce him back, but I was hoping a little bit more in terms of like powers or I don't know, just kind of that experience with him that we got. But I think with how his character, excuse me, I think with how his character is, they did a good job with it.
Yeah, I don't understand his powers. Yeah, I mean, he just got a bunch of black market tech, which it seems he
Hmm.
can jump really high. He's got electric
Yeah, it's basically
impulse
enhanced
raised. Yeah, I don't.
abilities and like physical abilities, and then the ability to shoot electricity, it
Yeah,
seems. But
it's
it
just
did.
weird.
Hmm.
So it's just weird to me. It kind of just seems like we'll just give him some of these powers.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, and I'm not sure.
I didn't love
Uh,
it, but I didn't care enough. It didn't bother me enough to where it took me out of what was happening, I guess.
mhm.
I
I'm.
feel like it could have I didn't feel that push pull that he was having with Riri as a friend versus Riri as an enemy. So I didn't buy it a whole lot, but I also think that they had to make it a little more have a little more brevity to his character because there's other stuff to get to. And obviously, like, it's only 6 episodes. So,
Yep. Yeah, there are certain things like the electricity isn't necessarily one of his sets of powers, but he does have a repulsor ray in the comics as part of his enhanced physiology and a force field that he
oh, he's got a
can
force
project.
field.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I know he talked about having things come out of his fingertips that he had wanted, that
Hmm.
was in the show. He talked about wanting that, or that was something he had
Yeah.
got from the black market. So,
but it's generally enhanced physical abilities.
Yeah. I'm assuming he's also just super smart. So
Yes,
there'll
and
be some of
we
that and
saw that already.
kind of a B villain. He's kind of a
Hmm.
B villain at this point.
Yeah,
So
I
that was
did.
fine.
Yeah, I will say I do like when he leaves Riri after beating her up outside the White Castle, and
Yeah.
she has to like pull and kind of crawl out of her
Hmm.
I like her suit
And she
because I thought.
barfs before that, like when she gets out of the White Castle. I
Hmm.
think that was kind of a nice human element as well.
Hmm. Yeah, but just her crawling out of the suit, I thought was such a good, impactful scene of like now she has like she's been stripped down to her most basic parts.
Yeah.
She doesn't have a suit. The whole conversation she has with Ezekiel Stain earlier on, where it's like, you should take the advice of your stepdad and tear yourself down to your basic parts and build
Build
yourself back
yourself.
up so you know
Yeah.
what you really are. She refused to do that, and he did that for her in
Yeah.
that moment.
Hmm. Very symbolic.
Hmm.
I did like that White Castle scene.
Hmm.
I
Yeah, that
thought,
was a fun
yeah,
conversation and fight.
the fight was good. Like,
Hmm.
I don't know, it was clever. It was, I mean, that hit. Oh my gosh, when one of the blood brothers, blood siblings, whatever,
Yeah.
takes her and pounds her head on the desk. It looked good. I mean, it was a
Yeah.
good action. That was a good take on that action scene.
Yeah.
Um,
It definitely has that feeling of this kid is better at fighting than probably should be against two brawlers. Um,
she uses her smarts, but it's also
yeah.
luck, and
Yeah.
she doesn't stand a chance very much out of her suit, but
No. But she
got luck on
hold
her side.
yeah, against the blood siblings, I feel like that was the one where like, man, you're holding your luck and like holding out against these guys a little bit too long.
Yeah. Then
But
but the watch did come into play. Kind of
mhm,
came out of nowhere a little bit. She had it, I know, but
yeah.
um,
Yeah. So that, like, I do like how she beat them because
yeah,
she beat them in a way where she couldn't beat them physically.
yeah,
So she just had to trap them away.
yeah. Clown got taken out too,
Hmm.
but so
Clown
Clown's
makes more
sense.
hmm
She's
And
an
Clown
interesting
makes more
character.
sense that she got taken out because she's less physical. It's brain
Yeah,
versus brain.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And only one of them is fully cuckoo.
Right. Um, so I thought that episode was good. Let's see,
Hmm.
that was five,
Yeah.
right?
That
Um,
was five. That was the first part of five, wasn't it? Or was that the end of four? But I I do also, and I made a comment on this in the video that I did. I love, and this is a tricky thing to do with acting too, but I love how much Riri is in a panic, especially at the start of episode four.
oh,
She's just like full on panic mode.
yeah, those situations. Yeah, it's some good acting. I will definitely
Mhm.
give it that. Um,
It is episode five, by the way.
I really like how her character is just pushing off and pushing down these emotions, and she comes out of them kind of in the end, but she just does a really good job of like fending off her emotions,
Mhm.
not letting people get to them and get to her to let them out.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a really well. I think it's believable and to
Mhm.
me,
Her
anyways.
only, like, the emotion you see from her is panic
Hmm.
and like panic attacks that are happening. And she tries to hide those from everybody except Natalie, the AI.
Right. I'm looking.
How do you think it went with getting magic into the suit? Did that
Oh,
feel good? Like the introduction, I thought they did a decent job with it because I liked the fact that we had the introduction to Zelma and got to know her as a character and that she's a bit of a wild card when it comes to magic. And sure, she'd try.
yeah, that where they when they get into the shop and then
Mhm.
Zelma kind of like flips them, and
Yes.
pulls them into a different dimension or something like that. And that is where it starts, right? That's like
Yeah.
that's like the moment in time where this just flips over to magic and leaves the technology side for that moment.
Yep.
And it was cool. Like it looks like they went to the floor and flipped around, and it was an interesting way to. It was abrupt,
Hmm.
but I thought it was kind of fun at the same time. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I feel like somehow the way they did it, I was comfortable with. It was a little bit of a shock and abrupt, but it was still kind of fun. And
Yeah, it fit the character.
yes, but I don't know. Like I just to have her add magic to the suit like that, it seemed like a really quick way to get the you have to choose one or the other, right? Like, hey, because
Hmm.
it's totally foreshadowed. Like, I don't know what happened. You know how magic is.
There's always a
It
cost.
Right. And I'm like, that was kind of like way too set up, I think. I mean, I understand why they had to
Ish.
do it,
Yeah.
but it just felt very obvious or
Oh yeah. Like
laid out for us like we're an
what was going
idiot.
to, yeah, what was going to happen. The cost, I think, was we all knew what was coming.
Right.
I didn't mind that though, because I don't think the characters knew what was coming. And so I think it worked that way just fine for me. And I do appreciate that they did the whole montage sequence so it wasn't just like we have another suit, here, throw some magic on it. Like she was a part of the process of getting everything ready for this new suit the whole time.
Yeah. But I think the whole magic comes with the cost. Did she say, or was that brought up at all prior to? I don't remember. I feel like if you're
Right.
gonna, that should have been planted
Yeah, no, that was planted. It was planted before the montage. It was planted.
like I'm talking like episode 1 or 2.
No,
That's because otherwise it's just like it's so convenient that oh, and it also, hey, by the way, magic comes with a cost.
well, it
Does it?
was.
In
It
like what Marvel lore is that a
it's.
thing? Am I
Uh,
wrong?
no, it is. Magic always comes with a cost of some sort. There's actually a Doctor Strange arc where Strange loses all his magic because he is so in debt to everywhere that he's been borrowing and using power from that
Okay,
they're
so it's
just
an
like,
actual thing. It's like it
yes.
wasn't just okay. So that's
And it
just
was brought
my
up in Doctor Strange, the first one for sure.
okay. So it's just my lack of knowledge. Okay,
Yep.
cool. That's good. I feel better about that. It just I was for me it was like oh, and then hey, by the way, right?
Actually, yeah, they've actually that has now that I'm thinking about it, it's been a consistent thing throughout because I'm pretty sure that was set up in What If season one as well with Strange Supreme, and it was set up in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So basically, every time we see somebody use interacting with magic, there generally is a cost.
So you're telling me that I missed the underlining premise of multiple different
Yes,
things,
yes.
and it's completely oblivious to me until now.
Unfortunately, yes.
I'm glad everybody could be a part of this moment. Thank you so much. I'll be leaving now. Thanks. That's embarrassing. Well, cool. Okay. But it was good that they kind of brought her in and she was kind of doing her own thing. I just I don't know, to add magic to technology, it was a little bit of that Disney Waverly Place kind of thing. I don't know how else to explain it. Uh, how that, oh, we're just gonna add magic into it, right? It
Hmm.
just seemed kind of
And
very kid
how
Disney, but
Yeah. And how they kind of describe it in this show, I do think they did a decent job of it, of basically you're taking power. We're powering the suit in a different way to kind of fight him.
right,
And
yeah, they
so,
because it kept draining. She needed
yeah,
a sustainable power supply, and that's what magic was gonna do for it.
yeah.
So it's
And
not
so
like it
was it,
was. I think you're
yeah,
saying what I was about to. Go ahead.
okay, go for it. No, we'll see if I was.
It wasn't something like magic that you're giving it powers. You're just giving it power.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I like that element of it. They're trying to use magic in a way that is a little less hand wavy.
Yeah.
And of course, then it costs Natalie, which Riri goes on such a journey with Natalie the AI from being like, all right, immediately let's scrap it and try again to I'm going to try repeatedly to recreate this AI in the exact same way it was before.
Yeah. Sorry, I was looking up something when you were talking about that.
I could tell.
Yeah, I know. I was because I was trying to get ready for what I was going to say next. Um, it was the song that they were doing the montage to. I was trying to
Hmm.
figure out what the heck that was because it was a good song. I want to say I really like, again, bringing it back to the soundtrack. I really liked what they did with the music in this show.
Yes.
Um, okay, what else?
Um, like the last thing I was probably going to land on was, do you like how she dealt with Parker Robbins, the Hood? Do you like that final fight between the two of them?
I kind of did. I mean,
Yeah.
I thought I didn't really see the hologram coming, so I
No, I didn't either, so I like that.
yeah, I was like, oh, well done. All right. And it wasn't something out of left field. It was like it's a hologram. So
Hmm.
I don't know. I liked it. I liked yeah, it was believable. She used her
Hmm.
brain power and technology to kind of
Yep. And
um
the magic element of her suit, basically the magical power source, kind of stop the Hood from being able to hide from her
mhm.
too, which I thought was, again, it's just using it as power, but it's just that little bit of an enhancement, an advantage.
Yeah. Did you like the suit?
I did.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. I
Hmm.
It wasn't too much like the Wakanda one.
Hmm.
It was a little more slimmed down, I think, and it just
But I mean, they spent more time on the CGI of that suit in Ironheart than they did of the one in Wakanda Forever.
yeah.
Or Black Panther Wakanda
and
Forever,
it
yeah.
and it shows. I think
Yeah.
they did a remarkable job. So,
Hmm.
uh, because I think also they had to.
Yes.
I think if this is the show, Wakanda doing it for in Wakanda Forever. I'm not saying you would only half-ass it. I'm just saying like if you're in an Ironheart show, you got to have the Ironheart suit looking like spot on or like
Yes.
right, like really good. So they did a good job of that.
Hmm. I guess, did you have something there?
No,
Yeah,
no,
I was
go
gonna
ahead.
say, do we like Parker Robbins' motivation? I feel like I got surprisingly close from
Yeah.
my guess. It so it wasn't a shock, but I think it worked well.
Well, I didn't understand what everybody had to be on point for because they were just going into this dude's house, right?
Hmm.
And taking and having him sign. So what did he need these people for? His crew. What did he need the blood siblings for? What did he need the clown? Like it was all things he could really just he could get into
Well,
the house just fine. So
he couldn't though because
again, tell
he
me what I missed. Let's
so
lay it
he
out
did
for
have
people.
Zeke Stain with him for it, and
Sure.
Zeke dealt with all the guards and kept them busy. He needed people to be able to get to his father.
So the
If it
brute
was,
force attack was
it's kind of the misdirect of, and I probably would have been more specific had he had his full crew.
I
They
think
went
they
in.
reshot something. It seems like there was another big like heist because the way they pan it out is that he's got that his crew before they all disbanded and left him that he's like we need to really focus on this last job. What's to focus on? You're busy just walking into a house with some security
Well,
guards. There's no tech really involved aside from maybe a gate. I don't
I
know.
I don't think I think the original plan, and I don't think this is a reshoot plan. I think the original Parker Robbins plan was something more grandiose. He wanted to make his father suffer with
Mm.
it. I think that was the whole idea. And it was only once he was down to Ezekiel Stain because he could control him and himself that he went in through the front door. I think there was a grander vision for it to set himself up as the
Yeah,
king.
maybe it was at whatever building that the guy works
Right,
in, something like
right.
that.
Or
But
some big distractions, some big explosions to get guards out of the way, and then the
yeah, but
blood
still,
sibling.
like, there's nothing there. Like, if you're just getting into a building, is it like a lockdown? Is it in a secret base? I don't know. It just seems like there was something missing. I don't understand what this. They're working up to this job, which is just having his dad sign the contract. And if he knew where his dad lived,
Yeah. Well, they were working up to the job because
well, they needed to get
he,
other signatures first.
yes.
But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
It was, I won't disagree that it was kind of anticlimactic how easy it was for them to come in through the front gate, especially after he had previously come in through the front gate.
Right. He just, yeah.
And
Ezekiel's was funny, by the way,
yeah,
as that whole sequence as he's trying to
yes.
not hurt the people, but he's has to hurt the people, the guards.
Yep.
That was pretty hilarious.
Yep. And so I do think there probably was a bigger, more specific plan that he had that was going to probably be a larger show that humiliated his father as well.
No, yeah,
Because
maybe.
because I don't I he feels like, I mean, he made a deal with Mephisto to be able to eventually take over his dad's everything.
Right.
Or
But and also, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Or I was gonna say get dirty, filthy, whatever,
Yeah,
rich, however they say it.
yeah. The motivation, as you were kind of originally asked, I mean, to be kicked out of the house and
Yeah.
made fend for yourself at age 12,
Yep.
that's harsh.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
like
it's
that's super harsh. Like I don't
mhm.
understand why he's going after his
Oh
dad, right?
yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Like his mom died, and I mean, it's very clear that the dad had a kid because the mom wanted to have kids.
right, but and they don't mention the mom very much, really. They don't
No.
really kind of. I wish they would have like said. I wish they would have had where his mom and him were kicked out, or like that he left them.
Hmm.
The the dad left them or something because it just seemed like
I do feel like
what?
leaving, kicking, my prediction had been they were both going to be kicked out and then she died
Yeah,
like when they were kicked out. I think that would have been equally as good, but
I think it would have been better, honestly.
mhm.
But
I still feel like there's a decent chance that Parker's dad made a deal with Mephisto
uh,
to get all his
yeah,
wealth, all the businesses, all that sort of stuff, and he's just somebody who's so obsessed with greed because Mephisto goes, yeah, 100 out of 100 of the richest people in the world have made a deal with me.
yeah, yeah. I could see that again. I what season two?
Yeah,
Where is it going to pick up?
I know.
I wonder if there
Yes.
was any talks of that happening.
N-
I mean,
I
there's
don't
been
know.
nothing, but I wonder if it's,
Yeah.
kind of in the background, like it's
It
still,
really felt more like it was trying to spin up Strange Academy in some ways,
yeah, yeah, that's true.
but I think they know they have a star quality actor in Dominic Thorne as Riri.
Yeah,
So I think they want to try and get her into the movie side of things.
but I would love to see more Anthony Ramos as the Hood.
Hmm.
I would love to see that story continue.
Yeah.
So
He'd
wherever
be
that needs to happen.
yeah, he'd be a solid villain for the champions to face off against.
Hmm.
Like he
Yeah.
builds up a gang and then they have to figure out who he is and they come in contact with Zelma and she has to be like, "Oh yeah, I messed up. I wanted to show off and I love messing around with magic and I accidentally gave him his powers
Yeah.
back again."
Sorry.
Yeah.
I would love actually to have him show up and kind of go up against Fisk in some way. I think that would
Hmm.
be an
And
interesting
like
thing.
he brings a new gang to New York.
Yeah, like he thinks he can stand up to Fisk,
Hmm.
and he's got, a little bit of an edge, but I don't know. I just think it'd be an interesting duel of two different parties, two different kind of corrupt parties or evil
Yeah.
parties, whatever you want to call them. So,
Yeah, to have two different gangs going up
yeah,
against each other, and the hand does, or not the hand, but the hood does spend like time in New York.
yeah,
Most Marvel villains characters at some point in time get there,
yep.
but
Otherwise, I don't know if I had anything else. I think overall that, yeah, like I said, it was good. I
mm-hmm.
I'm glad that they released this. I'm glad that it happened. I would love to have a second season,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. If they would do another one, I think they really got something good started
Yes.
and lots of interesting things.
Hmm.
And this can just be part of it, right? If it's magic for this season and next season, cool. And then they can move on to maybe something else. But
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to have more of it. And it compared to some of the other shows, I do feel like this one deserves a true second season
yeah.
more so than some of the other ones. I was just gonna popped in my head, like this was originally supposed to come out in phase four, and it would have, you can feel that it should have come out in phase four in some ways, because phase four is all about loss and grief.
Mm,
And that's what this is about as
yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yep.
yes, but with that, let us know your thoughts on the show. I will get a poll up on YouTube where you can vote whether you liked it, loved it, thought it was meh, or haven't watched it yet because of whatever reason. But thank you so much for listening. Greg gave a few ways you could help support the podcast at the beginning.
Sure did.
We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/nerdologists. The funds go to help improve the quality of this podcast, as well as the YouTube channel, the 10 Minute Marvel YouTube channel, and the nerdologist.com website. But with that, we'll see you next time.
Magic. Bam.